since he sinned in heaven, he's gone. He got kicked out of there. And God said, we ain't having that.
Welcome to Walk With Me Ministries.
We're back.
So we're going to start off on question 4. What changed in Lucifer's life that led him to turn against God? What sin did he commit?
Your heart was lifted up because of your beauty. You corrupted your wisdom for the sake of your splendor. Ezekiel 28:17. You have said in your heart, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God, and I will be like the Most High. Isaiah 14:13-14.
So he pretty much he wanted to be like God.
Yeah.
He was jealous of all the praise and all the attention and all the love and everything that God was getting him. He wanted some of that for himself.
Mm-hmm.
So the answer is pride, jealousy, and discontent arose in Lucifer's heart. He soon began to desire to unseat God and to demand that everyone worship him instead. Note, why is worship such an important thing? It is the key factor in the ongoing conflict between God and Satan. People were created to be happy and fulfilled when we worship only God. Not even the angels of heaven are to be worshipped. Revelation 22:8-9. Satan selfishly thought that this worship due only to God. Satan selfishly sought this worship due only to God. Centuries later, when he tempted Jesus in the wilderness, worship was still his central desire and a key test. Matthew 4:8-11. Now in these last days, as God calls upon all people to worship him, Revelation 14, verses 6 and 7, this so infuriates Satan that he will try to force people to worship himself or else be killed. Revelation 13:15. Everybody worships someone or something. Power, prestige, food, pleasure, possessions, etc. But God says, you shall have no other gods before me. Exodus 20 verse 3. Like Lucifer, we have a choice about whom we worship. If we choose to worship anyone or anything other than the Creator, he will honor our choice, but we will be counted against him. Matthew 12:30. If anything or anyone other than God receives first place in our lives, we will end up following in Satan's footsteps. Does God have first place in your life, or are you serving Satan? It is a sobering question, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
It's crazy how you can literally there's so many things that you can put before God that people don't think about.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you could put sports above God. You know what I mean? You could. Like, there's a lot of people that are crazy sports fanatics. I mean, I was a crazy sports fanatic. I still like my teams, you know? But that's not my main focus anymore, like it used to be.
Yeah, that's true.
Even just like being a busybody, staying busy. You have to be able to set aside that time. You know what I mean?
You can't let being busy take that time away from God, because that is such an excuse that we use. And yeah, everybody in this world is so busy. I mean, I'm so busy.
I'm myself guilty of saying that too.
Yeah. I mean, it's an easy little sling that we throw around too, but it is true. Everybody in this world is busy. You have your home life. You're busy with your home. You're busy with your family. You're busy with outside your family, whether it be your friends or serving others or your work, and that'll keep you busy. And it don't stop. It really don't. But still, we do have to take that time to stop for God, because if we don't, then we don't grow. Mm-hmm. And those struggles will come for us, and those storms, like I just recently went through one of my storms, and whew, man, and what was I doing? I needed to get in my word is what I needed to do. I was a busybody, and I was like, what is lacking, and it was my prayer life, my study life. And once I got back on that, you sent me that video. I am the storm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What happened in heaven as a consequence of Lucifer's sin? War broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought with the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought, but they did not prevail, nor was a place found for them in heaven any longer. So the great dragon was cast out, that serpent of old, called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole world. He was cast to the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. Revelations 12:7-9. So since he sinned in heaven, he's gone. He got kicked out of there. And God said, we ain't having that.
Lucifer deceived a third of the angels. Revelation 12:3-4, and caused a rebellion in heaven. God had no choice but to cast out Lucifer and the other fallen angels, because Lucifer's aim was to usurp God's throne, even if it meant murder. John 8:44. After his expulsion from heaven, Lucifer was called Satan, meaning adversary, and the devil, meaning slanderer. The angels who followed Satan were called demons.
So now, with Lucifer, so Lucifer was cast out of heaven, right? But he also was able to convince 1/3 of the angels to rebel against God as well. Mm-hmm. And those who were convinced, who like went to Lucifer's side, and they're like, yeah, like we're gonna be with him. Lucifer and those angels were all kicked out of heaven. So now Lucifer has a 1/3 of those angels.
No, I mean that's a good point. I mean the consequence of Lucifer's sin is he brought a third of the angels with him and he was cast down to earth. Yeah. And an important part of that is Satan convinced 1/3 of the angels to come with him.
Yeah.
Satan and
in heaven,
third of angels were in heaven in the presence of God.
Yeah. That's what's wild.
And so if Satan can convince 1/3 of the angels to go against God, how much easier is it for him to convince us? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a third of the angels, man, they were literally up in heaven with God, and he got them to follow him.
Like, it was perfect. There was no sin. Lucifer being the first person to actually sin. They're seeing it play out firsthand, right? Like, they're able to witness Lucifer's action and his character change versus God's character staying the same. Mm-hmm. And his love and just, yeah, they're like, no, we're going to go with him. We think he's right. Boom. And here they are with us.
Yep.
1/3 of the angels, then Lucifer. All right, 6. Where is Satan's present headquarters, and how does he feel about people?
The Lord said to Satan, "From where do you come?" So Satan answered the Lord and said, "From going to and fro on the earth, and from walking back and forth on it." Job 2:2. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and the sea, for the devil has come down to you, having great wrath, because he knows that he has short time. Revelation 12:12. Your adversary the devil walks about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. 1 Peter 5:8.
You want me to read the answer?
You want me to read? Yeah, go ahead and read the answer.
Contrary to widespread belief, Satan's headquarters is the earth, not hell. God gave Adam and Eve dominion over the earth, Genesis 1:26. When they sinned, they lost their dominion to Satan, who then became ruler of or prince of the earth. Satan despises humans who were created in God's image. Since he can't harm God directly, he directs his anger against God's children on the earth. He's a hateful murderer whose aim is to destroy you and thus hurt God. And people ask, why is there so much evil in the world? It's not God.
No, it's Satan trying to hurt God.
It's Satan trying to hurt God.
Hurt God. Mm-hmm. So the only way that he can hurt him is by hurting his children. Mm-hmm. Okay, number 7. When God created Adam and Eve, what did he ask them not to do? What did he say would be the result of disobedience? Of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat, for in the day that you eat of it, you shall surely die. That's Genesis 2:17.
Adam and Eve were told not to eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. The penalty for eating the fruit from this tree was to be death. Remember that God created Adam and Eve with his own hands and placed them in a beautiful garden where they could enjoy eating from every kind of tree, except just one. It was God's gracious way of giving them a fair choice. By trusting God and not eating of the forbidden tree, they would live forever in paradise. By choosing to listen to Satan, they chose to run away from the source of all life, God, and naturally experience death. Man.
The crazy thing about that for me is they're in the Garden of Eden, right?
Yeah.
And there's up to this point, there's no sin in the Garden of Eden.
Mm-hmm.
And they have everything that you could imagine. No, I mean, they didn't even have to labor for their food.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They had it so easy going. I don't know how long it was. It doesn't say. It could have been like a day. But they had everything, and God just said, don't touch this one tree. One tree. Out of all this, just don't touch one of them.
Doesn't that ring a bell?
It does.
You'll see that throughout the Bible.
So now we're going to see exactly how Satan deceived Eve.
Okay. How did Satan deceive Eve, and what lies did he tell her? You can read that.
The serpent was more cunning than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said to the woman, Has God indeed said, You shall not eat of every tree of the garden? Then the serpent said to the woman, You will not surely die, for God knows that in the day you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. That's Genesis 3, verses 1, 4, and 5. And so the answer there is, Satan used a serpent, one of the wisest and most beautiful animals God had made, to deceive Eve. Some scholars believe the serpent originally had wings and flew, Isaiah 14, verse 29, and Isaiah 30, verse 6. Remember, it did not crawl until God cursed it, Genesis 3, verse 14. Satan's lies were 1, you won't die, and 2, eating the fruit will make you wise. Satan, who invented lying, that's John 8, verse 44, mixed truth with the lies he told Eve. Lies that include some truth are the most effective deceptions. It was true they would know evil after sinning. In love, God had withheld from them knowledge of evil, which includes heartache, grief, suffering, pain, and death. Satan made the knowledge of evil appear attractive, telling lies to misrepresent God's character because he knows that the people will be more likely to turn away from a loving God if they misunderstand his character. It's even more evident today. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many people that misunderstand God's character.
Yeah.
You know, like they think the God of the Old Testament and the God of the New Testament are two different gods.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, the New Testament is so loving, and Old Testament is nothing but
punishment
and death and sacrifices. You know what I mean? But it's a lot deeper than that. It's one same God, one same Bible, one whole book. Nothing's changed except people have just.
And he's not changed.
No, he has not changed. I mean, he says, I think it's in Malachi. It says, I am the Lord, I do not change.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the same God. He's just been misunderstood by so many people.
Because it's Satan trying to, just like he was in Eve's ear, God didn't say that you won't die. You won't die. Eat it. You'll be just like God if you eat this.
What I find interesting is that was Satan's sin.
Mm-hmm.
Was he wanted to be like God.
And now he's trying.
Now he told Eve,
yeah,
this will make you like God.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And don't we see that in like New Age stuff too? You know, like everybody.
Some people think they are gods.
Yeah, you are your own God. I've heard before. We are our own gods. We don't need to look to a higher being because I am that higher being.
Okay, so number 9. It says, why was eating a piece of fruit such a bad thing that Adam and Eve were removed from the garden?
All right. To him who knows to do good and does not do it, to him it is a sin. James 4:17. Whoever commits sin also commits lawlessness, and sin is lawlessness. 1 John 3:4. Then the Lord God said, Behold, the man has become like one of us, to know good and evil. And now, lest he put his own hand and take also of the tree of life and eat and live forever, he drove out of the man and placed cherubim at the east of the Garden of Eden, and a flaming sword which turned every way to guard the way of the tree of life. Genesis 3:22-24.
Isn't it crazy that if they would have just eaten out of the tree of life instead of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, like there would be no death?
Yeah. And working, laboring like this, bills like this, inflation like this.
Yeah. I like that little inflation bit there.
Man.
Everyone can relate to that one.
There's a lot of suffering. Yeah, the earth is now cursed. I mean, even if you continue reading that after Adam and Eve ate that, even Eve's womb was cursed, you know, and after that, like, all women's, like, childbirth was not supposed to be painful, and now it is. That's because she ate of the fruit. So, you know, we can sit here and we can say, thank you, Eve. But we can sit here and we can re-examine ourselves, and we can be like, would we be deceived during that time? You know, it's easy to sit back and be like, I wouldn't have listened to no snake, you know, but look at us now in this day. You know, Satan's still here with a third of his angels. You know, like, he's still messing with us to this day.
Every day we do the same thing.
Every
we
day
make that same choice.
Exactly. And so to sit back, because I have said the same thing, like, thank you, Eve, you know, and like, I go outside with no shoes on, I step on a sticker, thank you, Eve, you know, like, there wouldn't be no stickers and thorns on roses if they wouldn't have, but
that
no,
too,
it's
I
not
mean,
just that.
You gotta think of it like, when was the last time you ever told a lie? Even if it's a little white lie, right? You just did the same thing. Mm-hmm. You just made the same choice that Eve did.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't the apple itself or whatever fruit it was. It doesn't say it was an apple. Most people think it was an apple. It doesn't really matter. What matters is they ate what God told them not to eat. That's the whole problem with it all, is not the fruit itself, but it was delicious, right? But the problem was the disobedience.
Yeah.
God told them not to do it, and they did it anyways.
Yeah.
So the disobedience is what actually caused all this curse. So every day when we either tell a little white lie or you like steal someone's pen off their desk at work, you know what I mean? You just did the same thing that Eve did.
What you be doing?
Somebody took my favorite pen off my desk, and I've been pretty upset about that, actually.
Confess up, no.
You want to read the answer on that one?
Yes. Eating the forbidden fruit was a sin because it was a rejection of one of God's few requirements. It was open rebellion against God's law and his authority. By rejecting God's command, Adam and Eve chose to follow Satan and therefore brought separation between themselves and God. Isaiah 59:2. Satan likely hoped the couple would continue eating from the tree of life after their sin and thus becoming immortal sinners. But God removed them from the garden to prevent this. Ooh, so just like...
That would have been crazy.
Just like Satan got cast out from heaven, right? From turning his... Like, he wanted to be like God, and he didn't want to follow God. Boom, out of here. Now, Eve listened to Satan, didn't listen to God. Adam and Eve, you know, out of here. Once Satan did that, sin really entered into the world and spread like rapid fire after that.
Thank God that he kicked them out of the Garden of Eden, though.
Yeah.
Like, right there it says, what if they would have become immortal sinners? Like,
oh, wow. Yeah.
That would have been rough.
They would have been immortal?
Yeah. Immortal.
If you lived in that garden, you would have been immortal?
If you would have eaten from the tree of the knowledge of good and bad, and then went and ate of the tree of life afterwards,